What's going on, everybody? RDAP Dan here. Hope you guys are having an awesome start to your 2018. Today is January 3rd, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the number one common mistake people make once they find out they're either under investigation or maybe they were just indicted. We're also going to talk about the best practice that you can do to make sure you avoid this number one mistake. If you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to my channel right now. Tap on that bell up in the right-hand corner of your screen. That will put you on our notifications for upcoming videos. Also, text the word YouTube to 35074. That will put you on our text message notification. I know a lot of you have been asking about the RDAP Dan wristbands. There is a link in the description of the video with a very basic form to fill out. They are absolutely free. You've got your options of hot pink, white, and blue to choose from. These are great tools to use if you find yourself getting negative and you're not sure what to do and you're dwelling on that negativity. You look down on your wrist, you see the RDAP Dan wristband, and boom, your mind gets right to where it needs to go and it's time to focus. All right, guys, stay tuned to this video because we're going to talk about some really important things coming up next. All right, guys, let's jump into this video, and as I promised, we're going to be talking about the number one thing people do once they find out they're either under investigation or they were recently indicted. What we see most commonly amongst people that are either calling us, clients, viewers, people that call in for any reason at all, the number one thing that we see a lot of people do is lie. And what do I mean by lie? They try to paint the picture as they haven't done anything wrong. They're trying to escape the reality that they've put themselves into. They're withholding information. They're thinking that this is just going to go away if they don't admit to what they've done. The other big reason we see people lie is they don't want people to look at them in any kind of way other than they want people to see them. We all crave wanting people to see us as good human beings, but yet here we are, we found ourselves in this situation where we made some really bad choices. Sometimes it can be really difficult to come to terms with what we've done, being honest with ourselves, and we go into this self-preservation mode where we think lying can escape the reality that we are in. A lot of this stems from the fact that we're just plain and simple in denial. We don't want to admit to ourselves that we made choices that put ourselves into a horrible situation, along with our friends and family and the possible victims of our crime. Some of the effects that lying can have early on, obviously you could be facing additional charges like obstruction. A lot of the times when you're lying, prosecutors, they know that you're lying. Your attorney also probably knows that maybe you're not being completely honest. And this just perpetuates a series of problems that are going to follow you way later into the later rounds of this investigation. Later on, when you're getting ready to do your pre-sentence report, maybe you're not being completely honest with the U.S. probation officer and you're lying about substance abuse or alcohol abuse. And a lot of the reasons why we lie to the probation officer about substance abuse, alcohol, prescriptions, whatever it may be, is for a couple of reasons. One, maybe we think that can get us into more trouble by being honest with the probation officer. Or two, maybe we are ashamed to admit to other people that we have this problem, so we would rather feel proud and not admit this during this really important investigation. And the other negative effects that your lying has created, this giant snowball rolling downhill, is now you're trying to enter into the RDAP program because you found out maybe you can qualify and get 12 months off of your federal prison sentence, and you find out because you weren't completely honest during that pre-sentence report that now, not only did you potentially put yourself into a situation where maybe you're facing additional charges through obstruction, now you cannot take advantage of the residential drug addiction program. Your friends and family have been dragged through the mud because instead of you just owning it early on and taking responsibility, now they've seen you continue this facade that you've created from the crime that you probably committed to the situation you're in right now, to not taking accountability, to possibly serving a longer sentence in a very undesirable location. These are all things that can happen from the bad decision early on, from deciding not to take responsibility. So when we look at all of these potential negative consequences that can come from that one poor decision of deciding to move forward with a lie instead of owning up to it, can create catastrophic consequences to make this situation way harder and way more of a struggle than it really needs to be. So what are some things that you can do to combat this early on? When we talk about best practices for success, some of those best practices efforts starts at the very, very beginning. Knowing your audience, knowing what you're getting ready to go into, understanding that your best thinking is what got you into this situation. So challenging your thoughts and your beliefs and everything that you've always known. Maybe you weren't doing things the right way for a very long time, and you're now at a point where it's come to a head and you're finally under an investigation or an indictment from a series of unimportant decisions that you've made throughout your life, making continual bad choices. So one of the things that you can do to combat the situation you're in right now to create an opportunity for a better outcome is taking actual accountability. By being accountable for the choices and decisions you made, that is going to show the government that you are serious about taking accountability, you're serious about what you've done, you understand the position you've put yourself in, and you're showing the government that you're ready to take this on the chin and learn a lesson from it. If the government doesn't think you're willing to learn a lesson, they are going to come at you extra hard to make sure you feel their wrath. But if you did what they said you did, instead of making up all these excuses, just come into it with accountability and saying, you know what you did was wrong. I'm here to talk to you guys to the best of my ability to make the situation better for myself than what it might need to be. Now, obviously, if you're going to go in there and you're going to be open and honest with them, you want to do this in the presence of your attorney because you want to make sure that you're not putting yourself at additional risk by maybe offering up stuff that can cause more damage than what you may already be looking at. So make sure you do converse with your attorney before you go in there and just start telling them everything that you want to get off of your chest. I've seen plenty of clients that have started talking to the government without the presence of an attorney, and sometimes they disclosed a little bit too much and additional charges came down the pipe later on. So go into this being mindful of your situation, understanding that an attorney is going to be your best friend in this situation for protecting things that you may or may not say. Telling the truth also creates relief. Once you start telling the truth and you're getting this off of your chest and you're no longer carrying this lie around or trying to create additional lies to cover up other lies, there's this overwhelming calm of relief that is going to hit you, that's going to help you sleep. It's going to reduce anxiety. It's going to build your relationships with your friends, your family, even the possible victims that you may have taken advantage of during your crime. Showing true honesty and accountability creates such a pattern of what's going to maybe happen in the future that everybody that's involved, if you're doing this out of an honest place, it's going to come through in so many different ways. If you're being honest with the prosecutor, if you're being honest with the investigators of your crime, if you're being honest with your attorney, they will eventually see that you're working with them to the best of your ability. And this is when you start to see the government offer you little bones here and there, where they may offer you a reduction or a 5K1 or cooperation, or not object to a downward departure when your attorney's asking for it later on in sentencing. You have to admit to yourself early on that this isn't just going to go away by you sticking your head in the sand. So owning up and showing that accountability and doing what you can do to stand out differently from the average person is going to have huge positive consequences down the road. Once you adopt this understanding of how honesty really can push you through this entire case, you're going to realize that this allows you to absorb the impact of what you've done over time, not all at once. When you see people that are lying and trying to ignore the situation and pretend like it doesn't exist, once it becomes very real, once it gets down to the wire and they're looking at sentencing, they've had no time to absorb or to take the impact of what's happening, and it hits them all at once to the point where it shuts them down. That's when you hear people thinking about, I want to go on the run, I want to commit suicide, I can't believe I got myself into this situation. They haven't processed anything because they've been in denial this entire time. So taking it little by little, going in the right direction of accountability. What can I be doing to mitigate my case? What am I doing with my personal narratives? What am I doing with my character reference letters? What am I doing with my free time? Am I out there engaging in my community? Am I working on a mentor group? Am I engaging in AA or NA if you're trying to get accepted into the residential drug addiction program? Being honest early on with your friends and family if there's any substance abuse issues in your life is going to make your conversation with U.S. probation later on during your pre-sentence report that much more real and that much more important. If you're trying to get into the residential drug addiction program, you having an honest, open conversation with that probation officer is going to immensely increase your opportunity to getting time off for this program, which also increases time off in the halfway house. All of these things that you have the ability to do right now can have a change on the outcome. You may not have complete control over what's ultimately going to happen, but you absolutely have the ability to influence the decision makers by showing them that you're not like everybody else. When your personal narrative shows true accountability, structures your life in a way where it explains why you did what you did, where your mindset was when you did it, how you're owning that, how you have identified who your victims are, and not just the people that are related to your crime, but your friends, your family, your children. When the judge sees this and he believes that you are being sincere, it can have giant consequences to your advantage of what that final outcome may be. It's not by chance that we've seen so many clients over the last 6 months receive a probated sentence when the prosecutor was dead set on that client receiving a period of time in prison. The fact that these clients received probation wasn't because the judge was in a good mood. It was because the judge identified that this client has done things above and beyond what was required just to get basic acceptance of responsibility. When the judge sees you taking control of your life and not just waiting to see what happens next, he sees that you're serious and that you have learned from this unfortunate series of events that you've put yourself in. This is what we try to do to position our clients for that best possible outcome. I know you guys hear everybody talking all different directions and you don't know what to expect sometimes. Some prison consultants tell you letters aren't important. Some prison consultants tell you they are. The one thing that you can be sure of is nothing negative is going to come from you working your ass off for a positive outcome. Is there a guarantee that you're going to get a probated sentence or a reduction in your sentence? No, of course not. And anybody giving you that guarantee, you probably need to run the other direction. But if you have faith in your ability to do the right thing for the right reasons, usually that produces a really good outcome in anything you do in your life. You work hard at your career, you probably have a rewarding career. If you're lazy and you don't want to get up and you want to do the bare minimum, you got mediocre results at best. This is no different. Mediocre preparation is going to give you mediocre results. Preparation done the right way, an actual roadmap to success, creating your own destiny, the best that you can, stacking the cards in your benefit is what is going to change the outcome of what you're looking at. We hear people say it all the time that, I started doing my community service just because I wanted to get a sentence reduction. However, weeks and months after doing community service or community involvement, volunteering in the community, what everybody tells me is they found that this has increased the way that they feel. This has increased their attitude. This has helped them reduce some of the anxiety and fear of what they're facing because they're taking control. They're doing something positive and they feel that energy releasing and they feel like everybody else can see it and everybody else can see it. When you start doing something at first, people might wonder, is this real? Are they going to maintain this? But once you've created new habits and people start to see this from you every day, they're no longer surprised. They start to expect you to do the right thing. You become that person known as the guy that makes the right decisions. Maybe you didn't make the right decisions early on. That's why you're in this situation now. But there is no time that is too late to get started, get motivated, take control of your life. And if you're unsure of how to do that, that's why we exist. Federal Prison Time Consultants LLC is here to make sure that you have the ability to create that direction and then go crazy with it. We want to see you do things that nobody else has done. So do yourself a favor. If you don't know where to start, pick up that phone, give me a call. My number is at the top of this screen. My email is there. There's a million ways to contact me, and all you need to do is initiate that point of contact, and we can start seeing what we can possibly do for you. Thanks for taking some time out with us today, guys. I know this time is really stressful with what you're going through. Do yourself a favor. Don't go through it alone. Pick up your phone, give RDAP Dan a call today. We love every single one of you. As always, people helping people, community is method, one day at a time. See you guys soon.